Welcome to the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
From the city of Houston, the downtown area as the backdrop, you're watching the American Conference on ESPN. From TD-ECU Stadium, they're expecting a packed house tonight as undefeated number 24 Houston hosts number 21 Memphis in a pivotal and critical game in the American Conference West. Here's what we mean as we take a look at the standings in the division. Navy now at 6-0 by virtue of their win against SMU a little bit earlier. They're in the lead, half game up on Houston at 5-0, and Memphis at 4-1, coming off a loss last week against Navy. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones alongside Brian Kinchin in for Rod Gilmore. Quinn Kesnick down on the sidelines. He'll be joining us in just a bit. Hey, when you look at the importance of this game, okay, you've got a division conference championship and potentially the group of 5 representative in a New Year's Six Bowl all on the line tonight. Coaches aren't even trying to pretend that it's not a huge game.
And it's a big deal for a player because sometimes even as a coach you don't get these opportunities very often, and so you have to take advantage of them. Obviously tonight winning is the only goal of both of these football teams.
Memphis trying to snap a 4-game losing streak against Houston at just the right time. When you look at the offenses, 2 of the highest scoring teams in the nation, and they're keyed by their quarterbacks, Greg Ward Jr. for Houston and Paxton Lynch for Memphis.
And they are a contrast in physicality and the style in which they play. Greg Ward Jr., 5'11", smaller, a dual threat type quarterback who likes to move the football either on the ground or through the air. But on the other side of the football, the 6'7" Paxton Lynch likes to sit back and to wheel the ball around the football field with his arm. But make no mistake, both of these offenses are fueled by the ability of these 2 quarterbacks.
The short and the tall of it. The whole story. It's November, folks, and the adage says they remember November, and it's shaping up to be quite a month in the American Conference.
Kick the dust up.
Very anxious to see how it plays out in the American.
Navy's been a quiet team.
What a win for the midshipmen.
I like that Temple team.
The Owls have beat Penn State.
But Memphis is a good football team.
Memphis knocks off ranked Ole Miss.
Houston is a team that's going to make it.
They'll take this win against a Power 5 conference team.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Been a lot of buzz around town about this Cougar team under the lights here tonight, taking on Memphis. Their defense, frankly, as the kids say, has been off the chain. And Quinn Kesnick has more on just how opportunistic they've been.
They are turnover kings. The Cougars lead the country in caused turnovers and turnover margin. They have scored 4 defensive touchdowns. How do they do it? Well, it starts with a ball-hawking secondary. 14 interceptions this season. Eye on the ball, wide receiver skills, and they capitalize. They have 11 fumble recoveries. Rip it and strip it. 28 sacks. They love the boundary blitz. They force negative plays, impact the quarterback. It's a fast-paced defense to complement their up-tempo O.
There's a look at the crew on the sideline, getting them all hyped. Houston will kick off. They've deferred to the second half. And this is the type of crowd that Coach Tom Herman has wanted, has pined for all year. Listen in. Oglesby from the goal line. He's out across the 25. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line for the long and lanky rifle-armed quarterback, Paxton Lynch. He was 26 of 42 last week for 305 yards and 1 interception against Navy. Question begs, how does he bounce back coming off of that loss last week? Some pretty stellar statistics coming into this game still.
Yeah, and those numbers from last week sound really great, but the problem was they weren't able to put points on the board and to keep that Naval midshipman offense off of the football field.
Orlin Dorcius in the backfield, high snap. Dorcius on the handoff, little pistol formation, and he takes it out to the 29, where Jeremy Winchester makes the tackle on the play of 2 yards. Now that's interesting that number 24 for Houston, Winchester, right there is on the field. That would mean maybe that William Jackson, the starting defensive back, who suffered a knee injury last week, might not be ready to play. They run it on 2nd down, and it's a nice run by Dorcius for 6 as we go now to Quinn.
Mark, their number 1 corner, Will Jackson, hurt his MCL last week. He came out and warmed up. He's dressed. He's wearing a heavy brace on his left knee, but according to Coach Tom Herman, unlikely that he'd play, only in the state of an emergency.
And that is a key loss for them if he can't go. On 3rd and short, Lynch, pretty dynamic quarterback. He moves very well for a guy 6'7".
He does. He is elusive in a sense because of his size, but it's amazing that we see this offense that has thrown the ball so well all year long. 3,000 yards in the air. Lynch is averaging 300, and they run it the first 3 plays of the game. They're doing a little change-up on Houston.
1st down and 10. Dorcius again breaks 1 tackle and a nice gain out to the 45-yard line. Picked up 6, where he's brought down by Stephen Taylor. Orlin Dorcius, the 5'10 sophomore from New Orleans. Actually moved to Houston at one point. Has some friends and family and a connection over midfield, still on his feet. That's Mayhew. Mayhew, one of several talented former walk-on receivers. He picks up 19 and another Tiger 1st down. They continue to go fast.
His go-to guy early on, take a little pressure off of him. Easy little slant route right up the middle of that Cougar defense.
Orlin Dorcius again. Picks up about 4, brought down by B.J. Singleton.
And it'll be interesting to see how the Cougars play this Memphis offense. Last week versus Navy, Navy sat back in a zone, made them try to beat them underneath, and it worked. So it'll be interesting to see if Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator for Houston, implements that same type of theory here early in the game.
Dorcius again, this time met by resistance. Able to get away from 1 tackler and brought down for no gain by Singleton and Trayvon Stewart.
And Singleton's one of those big guys. He's 6'4", 305. He's an NFL-type guy. He takes up a lot of space down low and leaves his linebackers to run free, but there he happens to make the tackle, which isn't that often for those big guys.
3rd and 4. There's that little bubble screen we'll be seeing a lot of today. And the catch made for the 1st down. That's Mose Frazier. Got a nice block on the edge from Alan Cross, the tight end, number 40. And, hey, they moved the chains again, Brian.
And to be able to execute those screens, you have to have wide receivers and tight ends who not can block but are willing to block every play and to sell out for their teammates. That's the way you have a successful screen game. That's what they've been able to do all year long.
Got a new tailback in, Sam Kraft, number 11. Kraft takes the handoff straight ahead over the left side of that offensive line. Robertson and Taylor Follen picks up 2 yards, where Matthew Adams makes the tackle. Houston a little bit off balance right now. Do you sense that?
I like what Memphis is doing. They're not just running the football. They're running it up the heart of that Cougar defense and challenging them early to be able to stop the run, which obviously they did not expect them to do.
Already the 10th play of the drive. Hand off into the boundary. Kraft waiting for a seam, and he's stopped up at the line of scrimmage by Singleton with his 2nd tackle. Sets up a 3rd down and long. They primarily run the ball. They set up and get to the ball quickly here again. 3 receivers out to the top of your screen. A trips left and a little motion on the offensive line.
A little hometown advantage right there.
False start. Offense. Number 72. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It's a 3rd down and 13 now. They've run the ball 8 times, passed it twice on this down coming up. Any feel for what they might do here on this 3rd and long?
Well, going with Houston's nature of what they like to do, they like to bring pressure and the man up. But like I said, it's going to be interesting to see in 3rd and long. You can go with the sit back in the zone and let him try to beat you. But it looks like they're all in catch coverage. They're in man coverage. So this is Lynch's moment to shine.
Little heat up front, tipped up, and almost intercepted by Bowser. 4th down coming up. Jake Elliott coming onto the field to attempt the field goal. Elliott 16 of 18 this year. This one will be from about 42 yards out. Made a couple of field goals last week against Navy, now 2nd on the school list. From 42. And Memphis is on the board first. They lead 3-0. Now scored 100 points this season. And Justin Fuente, the head coach in his 4th year, talking to his quarterback Paxton Lynch, who puts that thing down the field pretty proficiently on that first drive.
Yeah, and I can't imagine he's talking a whole lot about what he's doing throwing the football. They only threw it a couple of times on that drive, and then they put him in a 3rd and long with the offsides penalty, which those things, kids just don't understand the significance of little penalties like that, silly penalties that coaches try to eliminate through the act of discipline. But man, when those things come at the wrong time, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is, very, very difficult to convert, especially on the opening drive of the game.
Well, what that opening drive does tell you a little bit is that maybe Memphis doesn't or isn't suffering from any type of hangover from that loss last week against Navy, their first in 16 games. Elliott going to kick off. Keep in mind that Brandon Wilson has run back a kick this year for a touchdown. This one will go through the back of the end zone and come out to the 25-yard line. 1st down and 10 for Greg Ward. Greg Ward, folks, the only player in the country to average over 200 yards passing and 90 yards rushing per game. And he is officially now on the Heisman radar.
And he's worthy of that. He is unbelievable how he can make plays, not only throwing the football, because most dual threat quarterbacks are not that accurate, but he is very accurate when he wants to throw the football. But man, when he decides to run it, just hang on, because anything can happen.
First and 10 from the 25. Ward fires complete out to the 30-yard line. That's DeMarcus Ayers, who picks up 5. Let's take a look at tonight's Impact Players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
DeMarcus Ayers, we just saw him on the reception.
And Ward back to pass again. Trying to scramble, got back to the line of scrimmage. Yeah, Ayers made that first reception. It sets up 3rd and 5. Roberts, one of the top tacklers in the nation. Avery and Miller, defensively and offensively for the Tigers. Houston 2 going quick. Empty formation. Low snap for Ward, under heat, and he's sacked back at the 20-yard line by Christian Johnson. Had a little bit of company, but he was the first one to get there, so it's a 3 and out on Houston's first possession.
And that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to find ways to bring Ward to the ground, because that's when he's the most dangerous, especially when you spread out in that empty look and he has anywhere to go with that football. They've got to be able to contain him and bring him down. That's something that you haven't seen a whole lot of this year, is people being able to get to him on the first opportunity.
A good start for this Tiger defense. Logan Piper going to punt from his own 7-yard line. Proctor bobbles it loose, and he recovers it out of bounds at the 18-yard line. A 58-yard punt, nothing on the return. And Paxton Lynch, 1st and 10 when we come back. The undefeated Houston Cougars. Here's a story in the American Conference. Navy at 8-1, Memphis same, Temple same, Houston undefeated. And there's a look at the strength of schedule.
And that's the one thing that stands out above all the rest. That 119 under the University of Houston.
Paxton Lynch off the play action fake. Throws it incomplete.
And that's what they've got to do. That's what Houston has to do. They have to get him out of the pocket. They have to move him off of the mark. He's a good quarterback, but all quarterbacks struggle when you make them reset their feet and have to move outside the pocket.
Lynch has thrown for 300 or more yards in 8 consecutive games. Torsius rocked in the backfield at the 14-yard line. Might have lost a yard or two on that play, hit by Landon Roberts.
And that's the guy who is the meat, the heart of that defense, that middle linebacker who brings it every time. He is their vocal leader on that football team.
Lynch going to throw. Nobody open. And he wisely throws it out of bounds. He's outside the tackle box. And not grounding subsequently. It'll be a quick 3 and out from Memphis.
We see it again, making him move, getting off of his initial read and having to bring his eyes down as he moves inside that pocket or outside that pocket. That was an excellent series. Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator for Houston, great job there by shutting them down early in a 3 and out.
Only had the ball for 34 seconds. DeMarcus Ayers back for this punt. Rugby-style boot bounces at the 45 and takes a tiger bounce all the way down to the 34. So they get the desired result on the 49-yard punt. 1st and 10 Houston, and Ward on the other side.
In college football, brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world, and Energizer Eco Advanced, the world's first AA battery made with 4% recycled batteries.
Head coach Tom Brennan of Houston has a tradition where he kisses and hugs his starters. Non-starters, just the pro hug.
Selective love there, huh?
Yeah, well, he kind of takes that back to his Italian heritage, he told us, and the really touchy-feely open shows of affection. And he is very proud of the relationships that he has been able to develop with his players over the years. 1st down and 10 for his Cougars right now. Greg Ward keeps it on what looked like a predetermined run, Brian, out to the 39-yard line. Avery makes the tackle.
Yeah, he had it in DeMarcus Ayers' gut and really just didn't know what he wanted to do with it and decided to pull it out. But Memphis has really done a good job of winning the push battle up front.
2nd down and 6. 3 receivers out to the top of your screen. He's going to run it, and Farrell with, no, pardon me, that's Ward. Ward keeps it, and he didn't do much better. Took a lick at the 40, but kept moving forward. Boy, he took a shot. Gain of 2 yards. McManus made the hit, and there's what he does on designed runs versus scrambles.
And Tom Herman talked about how he doesn't like him to run the football a lot, but most of the time they don't know if he's going to pull it down and scramble with the football and take a hit on his own.
3rd and 4. Pass incomplete at the 45-yard line for Stephen Dunbar. Would have been a 1st down, but broken up nicely by Arthur Mallett. And it's 4th down. In comes the punting unit for the 2nd time today for Houston.
Yeah, credit Galen Scott, defensive coordinator for Memphis. They've done a good job of disrupting what Houston's trying to do early in this football game. Ward looks really out of sync, and that running game just looks stagnant. They're trying to get on the edges, and they can't do it. They don't have the speed. Memphis has too much to counteract that out on the perimeter.
Viper at his own 26-yard line. Roderick Proctor on his own 20. They come after it. Proctor with a chance to return this at the 22. And great coverage by the Cougars downfield. Brought down at about the 20-yard line. Well, folks, Week 10 is upon us in the NFL, and we have you covered in the morning to get you ready for all the games. NFL Insiders Sunday edition starts at 10 a.m., followed by Countdown at 11. Now, after the hit at Teddy Bridgewater's head last week, the guys debate whether all quarterbacks are treated equally. Interesting. Starting Sunday at 10 on ESPN, and also watch ESPN. One guy that doesn't treat quarterbacks well is him, J.J. Watt. It's part of the job.
That's a man I wouldn't want to see on any part of the football field, much less if I'm a little quarterback sitting back in the pocket. He's a menace.
Houston Texan defensive lineman J.J. Watt. First and 10 on the toss. It's Jarvis Cooper with his first carry of the ball game. He picks up about 2. Roberts with yet another stop, joined by Hightower. Well, you look at the job and how far this Memphis team has come over the last 4 years under Justin Fuente. 3-9 the second year on the heels of a 4-8 initial campaign. 10-3 a season ago, and now at 8-1, and so much on the line.
False start. Offense. Number 63. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Second time that they've moved prematurely up there.
Well, and you have to credit this home crowd. These guys are enjoying the night. It's exciting to see. They're all standing up, cheering on their Cougars.
Thurman has pleaded with the fans to show up en masse, and they've done so tonight. A well-executed screen to Cooper. And Cooper gets back some of those yards, stopped up about 2.5 yards shy of that first down. So it'll be 3rd down and short for the Tigers. He got 9.
And that was an elaborate way to draw up a slow screen. 2 reverses before they got it out, but I like the call. It gives them a manageable third and 3 for Paxton Lynch to be able to pull this out.
5 receivers for Lynch. Goes through his progression, and they may have whistled this one dead.
Yeah, Proctor out on the edge, number 18. They were running the screen to him. He was a
Prior
little
to the
anxious.
snap. False start. Offense. Number 18. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
The funny thing is he was moving backwards, and I don't even know, does that even constitute offside when you're not approaching the line? You're basically motioning, but I guess they saw it otherwise.
3rd and 8 now. Lynch rolling out. Brought down. Got it away just in time. Looks like they're going to say that he was brought down. The official moved into the 14.
The pass was outside the pocket.
The pass incomplete. Stephen Taylor there with the pressure, number 41.
And a very good job by the Cougars. They went man coverage. They only had 3 receivers out in the pattern. And even though Lynch tried to do a good job of extending the play,
he might have been down or close to it.
Yeah, it was close, but it looked like he got it away. But he had nowhere to go with that football.
Ayers fields this one at the 25, and great coverage by the Tigers. That was part of the mission coming in, to limit the return yardage of DeMarcus Ayers. They did it that time on the 54-yard punt. But folks, for the Taco Bell student section and passionate fans like these at games all season long, hey, go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell and learn how you can get to the college football playoff. And what a great New Year's Eve it's going to be this year, December 31st. Don't be the guy with the lampshade on your head. You'll miss the game. We've all seen that guy with the lampshade on his head at the New Year's Eve party. 1st and 10 for the Cougars. Ward on the option. And nowhere to go for Ayers. Run out of bounds, a short gain on the play. This Houston team led by Tom Herman. His first year, the former offensive coordinator at Ohio State for Urban Meyer. He has been able to really groom some great quarterbacks over the years. Carlo Jones, the latest one at Ohio State. Parrott as well. 2nd down and 8 coming up. Herman inherited a veteran team. Leaders all bought in. Ayers, one of those guys, makes the catch and picks up the 1st down. But Ward has done well and trying to follow in the footsteps maybe a little bit of guys like Braxton Miller, Jones, and Barrett, all who have been tutored by Tom Herman.
And he talked about him being a little bit like Braxton in the sense that he had to play too early. And so when he came in to work with Ward, he had some things he had to get ironed out of the system.
This time he gets sacked back at the 29-yard line by Ricky Hunter. Nowhere to go. Loss of 4 as we go down to Quint.
Mark, that's the second time Houston has taken a shot with decent field position on first down, and it's the second time Ward has been sacked today. Protection has been the issue. Major Applewhite, their offensive coordinator, trying to be ultra aggressive on first down, but it's backfired.
Yeah, they've got 3 freshmen up front there too, Quint, at center and at the guards. 2nd and 14 after the sack. Get it out on time this time, complete to Webb. And Webb brought down across the 40 at the 41. Got a good block on that 11-yard gain. McCloskey leading the way.
Yeah, the tight end out on the perimeter, and talking to Major Applewhite, he talked about when they came here, they didn't have a tight end on the roster. It feels like you have to have a guy like that to be able to cover the C-gap. We saw him do a great job of covering that C-gap right there.
Little pressure, incomplete. Well, the guy that you were just praising dropped it.
Just short-armed it, too. It's not like he dropped it. He short-armed it. He alligator-armed it. He knew the hit was coming, and you shouldn't see that out of big guys like him. He's 245 pounds, and you know he wishes he had that one back. But footsteps will get everybody eventually, though.
4th down and 3 coming up, and Houston once again will have to punt. 2 of the highest scoring teams in the nation, both averaging a little over 44 points a game, number 6 and number 8 in the country, Memphis and Houston respectively, with just 3 points combined so far. Frazier calls for the fair catch, bobbles it back at the 6-yard line. It'll be 1st down and 10 after that 50-yard punt. Story of the game, defense. Who would have thought?
Well, Memphis came out in the opening series last week, very successful in their opening drive. A lot of football teams, and they have those scripted plays early in the game to where they know what will work pretty well against the defenses they've seen. But obviously the same thing has happened here. Memphis came out in that opening series, was successful in getting a field goal out of it, but have been 3 and out in their last 2 possessions. Very similar to Houston, but you're right. We did not expect defense to be the dominating factor in the first part of this football game.
1st and 10, Jarvis Cooper in the backfield. Anthony Miller has been rather conspicuous by his silence so far as they run it to Jarvis Cooper. Brought down by Jeremy Winchester. If you're just joining us, folks, remember Winchester getting the start for William Jackson on the corner. Their top cornerback out with a knee injury, has not appeared in the game yet.
And Winchester's their guy who's their 3rd corner. He'll fill anywhere, but you like to see that you can have a corner want to come up and be physical. Sometimes those guys out on the perimeter, they love man coverage and all that, but when it comes to hitting somebody, they're not that aggressive.
2nd and 10. Mayhew in motion on the jet sweep. They give it to him. He broke 3 tackles and makes it out beyond the 10 to the 11-yard line. Some determined running and spirited running, and a 5-yard gain by Phil Mayhew, one of those walk-ons, former walk-ons.
Well, interesting that they're going away from where they started in that first series of running it between the tackles. Now they're trying to get out on the perimeter with no success at all.
Lynch has all day and now looks downfield. Good pump fake, and he tiptoes for the 1st down. Nice run, and there we see some of the versatility. Folks, look at him, okay? 6'7", did not have but 1 scholarship offer.
And we see what he can do with his legs. He doesn't want to do it very often. You saw him pump it a couple of times before he decided to go ahead and get that 1st down with his legs. But he's not a guy who's going to run it often, and when he does, he's efficient at it.
Hands it off again to Cooper. You know, back to Lynch. 2012 National Signing Day. He thought he would have a scholarship offer coming. It never did. And he was injured for a good portion of his senior year. He thought that Miami, thought that Central Florida, thought that Florida at some point would have offered. But then this guy came in, Justin Fuente, when he got the job December 8th. They offered him a scholarship on a tip from one of the football administrators. And it proved to be a great move. Another run by Cooper. And, you know, they hadn't actually seen Lynch throw the ball until he appeared on campus for their first workouts. And, you know, you're a little nervous when you only see film. When you see them in person, it's a little difference. They exhale.
That's exactly right.
They run it here for the first down across the 30.
And the interesting thing, when I was reading about it, UCF had offered him, but when they saw him in person, because he was such a late bloomer, they withdrew the offer, which is so interesting because when I first discovered this kid and saw that he was 6'7", I was really, it kind of blew my mind because you just do not hear about that in football unless they're maybe a lineman, but even that's a big guy. But for a quarterback, it's even more so.
Hands it off to Dorcius, and Dorcius over the left side of that line. Brought down finally by Lee Hightower, but a nice gain with time winding down here in the first quarter. Out to the 40-yard line. Memphis looking to bounce back after losing their first game in 16 contests last week against Navy. And so far, the results pretty good. Dorcius might have been stopped up short. Let's see where they spot the football. They're going to spot it just a little bit shy of that first down marker. And that's going to be perhaps the last play of the first quarter.
End of the first quarter.
Justin Fuente, the head coach, liking the results. Setting up something. Temple has pretty much taken care of their business, but here's what it looks like in the West. Houston and Memphis at 5-0 and 4-1 respectively. Navy winning today against SMU at 6-0. They're 8-1 overall. Their only loss is against Notre Dame. So there's so much to play out still in a back-loaded schedule for the American West with those three teams. Houston still has to play against Navy. They've got to handle their situation here tonight against Memphis. Memphis coming off a loss against Navy last week. The early results show that there is no definitive or tangible hangover from that loss. They're first in 16 ball games. So as we get ready for the beginning of the second quarter, the question begs, how does Houston find its rhythm here offensively, especially because they have been unable to gain any kind of momentum when they've had the football. Tom Herman, in his first year as head coach on the sidelines for the Cougars, the former offensive coordinator at Ohio State, and really a quarterback guru of sorts.
And he's done a fantastic job of turning around this program in the 10 short months that he's been here. But as I alluded to in the open, a lot of that credit has to go to Greg Ward Jr., their quarterback, that he has done a fantastic job of molding, shaping, and training this guy with the nuances of the position to be able to fuel that offense, which has fueled this undefeated season thus far.
Third and short. Dorcius dotting the I, and Paxton Lynch is going to keep it himself. You know, folks, when you're 6'7", and you get a little bit of push, good things can happen on third and short. Looks like he got enough for the first down. Paxton Lynch there, 6'7", long, rangy, angular, with a strong arm, a potent mix at quarterback for the Tigers. First and 10. Little play action fake, has a man downfield. It's caught by Hurd. And Hurd has a first down at the 38-yard line. Boy, Brian, did he really sell that fake.
He did a really good job moving the pocket. He really waited. He had his tight end underneath, but he waited for the ball over the top. Nice touch for a big guy who likes to power the ball down the field with his big right arm.
20-yard pickup on the play. First down and 10. Ball at the 38-yard line. This Memphis team averages 44.6 points per game. That's number 6 in the country. Nice play fake again. Has his tight end Cross. And Cross is going to score. Touchdown, Tigers. Alan Cross atoning for a miscue earlier. And picks up the touchdown for the Tigers. His third touchdown catch of the season and the 14th of his career.
Great job with the play action, and because they're able to run the football inside the tackles, it opens up the go route out on the edge, and Cross who's a former walk-on long snapper, which is a really odd story, is now the guy scoring touchdowns for this Memphis offense. That's great.
The extra point good. And a sellout crowd sees the Tigers come in and seize the 10-0 early lead.
Purchase your season tickets at uhcougars.com. Call or text 713-GO-COUGARS. Good luck to our UH men's basketball team this season.
Under the lights here in Houston. 10-0 for the Memphis Tigers. Looking to snap a 4-game losing streak against their conference rivals. And Paxton Lynch, a battle of talented quarterbacks with the upper hand right now. Webb and Wilson back deep for this kickoff for the Cougars. Brandon Wilson right there already has a 100-yard kickoff return this year. He decides to take a knee. Let's go back to that touchdown, and what do you see as the key on this?
Well, the play action is great here, and the mesh is really good, but we look at the left guard, Uzelton right there, number 63, gets a little bit far down the field, something that you don't see called very often, but it is illegal. And they got away with one right there. But great execution by Lynch, selling that run, getting the ball downfield. But got to be careful, those big guys, those big uglies, got to watch what they're doing. They might get caught doing that every now and again.
Lynch completing passes of 28 to 30 yards back to back. Webb in the backfield. First and 10 for Ward, trying to find his groove, taking a shot into traffic to Ayers, and he should have been picked off, but it's dropped by Chris Morley. It'll be 2nd and 10, and the Cougars caught a break there. Downstairs to Quint.
Mark, on that touchdown, Houston linebacker Landon Roberts was all over the umpire. He knew that 63 was downfield. It is so difficult to be a linebacker or safety right now where your run-pass keys are out the window.
Yeah, if they're not going to make that call, it makes it very difficult.
Well, when you see a guard coming at you, you're thinking run, not pass.
Ward out of the pocket, overshoots Ayers, and it's going to be 3rd down and 10. Greg Ward Jr., who started his career here at Houston as a wide receiver until midway through last year when he took over from Korn at quarterback. And this is really the first time that he spent an entire season from the beginning of the year in quarterback meetings. So there's still a little bit of a learning curve to go for him.
Yeah, he played it in high school and early on, but he switched to wide receiver, and he's really only the equivalent of maybe his 1st or 2nd game of his 2nd year as a starter. This is his 15th start of his career as a quarterback.
3rd and 10, Wood. Backside Pete, and they bring him down at the 17-yard line. Suttles with the sack for the Tigers. And another 3 and out for the Cougars.
And doing a good job of putting pressure on him. But the problem is this is not what Greg Ward does really well. On the opening play, he dropped back. On 3rd down, he dropped back. He had a half roll on 2nd down. They don't want him to sit back in the pocket. They've got to move him and give him the freedom to be able to scramble and make plays with his legs, not sitting back throwing the football. That's a bad philosophy.
Saw the stat, just 20 yards in the 1st quarter, their lowest of the season output-wise for the Cougars. And the 48, Proctor calls for the fair catch, a 35-yard punt. And the Tigers, they're ready to roar again with good starting field position.
Brought to you by the U.S. Army. Find out if you'd make the cut at goarmy.com/team. And Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Welcome back, everyone, to Dr. Pepper's Championship Drive game of the week, and saluting our wonderful men and women in the military. And look at some of the brave men and women from around the world sporting their school colors. And here at TD-ECU Stadium and Veterans Day just this past Wednesday, we want to thank all the servicemen and women in our armed forces for protecting our liberties and our freedoms, both here and abroad. Dorcius in the backfield, near midfield for Memphis, leading 10-0. Moving forward for about 3 yards on the play.
I really believe that Memphis has stole a page out of the Naval Midshipman playbook last week, because the midshipmen controlled the football all game long and kept Memphis off the football field offensively. And I think they're trying to do the same thing: possess the football, run the football, control the clock, and keep Greg Ward off the football field.
Already 64 yards on the ground and picking up a few more there, down to the 45. Roberts making the stop, a 3-yard gain, sets up a 3rd down at about 4 to go.
Because in the end, no matter what type of offense you run, that's old school. Just control the football, control the clock, shorten the game, give your defense rest, especially against a guy like Greg Ward who can hurt you. As we've seen earlier, them being on the boundary, that defense being on the boundary for Memphis has paid dividends against that Houston offense.
On 3rd and 4, they run it into the boundary, nowhere to go, and then, boy, they make something. They make lemonade out of lemons. Dorcius with 5 as we go back to Chris in the studio. Big surprise right there. You talk about great quarterbacks in this league. Walker for Temple doing a nice job this year as Memphis powers forward again with Dorland Dorcius, picking up about 3.5, almost 4, and eating up that clock.
And they're staying inside the tackles that they did earlier in this football game when they had their most success on that opening drive. Instead of trying to get out onto the perimeter and just taking what they're going to give them up the middle of that Cougar defense.
Run a little jet sweep into the boundary with Tevin Jones. Big hit on the sidelines, and Jones pushed out of bounds for a gain of 5. 3rd down and short coming up.
And I like that. I like the way that they're trying to figure out ways to get the ball to the wide receiver, not just with the bubble screens or the short intermediate throws, but actually bringing them in motion and giving them the football to stretch that defense, which will give them bigger windows inside those tackles, which is where they've been hitting them all night in the running game.
They sprint to the line of scrimmage. Lynch has a man open at the 20. It's caught, and another 1st down to the 13-yard line. Daniel Montiel with the catch and run. Great execution, Brian.
Well, I love play action. Play action to me is the most deadly form of throwing the football. And when you run it well, this is what happens. It opens up windows down the football field, and Lynch is hitting them at will. 19-yard pickup.
Another jet sweep into the boundary. This time, Jones with nowhere to go. He's going to be stopped up. Short loss on the play. Bowser making the tackle.
And Bowser, along with that entire defense, including Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator, they need to come up with something to be able to shut down this Memphis offense, because they're more of a finesse, high-risk defense. They don't like having to stop guys pounding them in the middle, which is what Memphis has decided to do and has done successfully, and obviously is not going to stop until they tell them that they can't do it.
Paxton Lynch trying to atone for those 3 interceptions he threw last year in the loss against these Cougars. Hands it off. It was Dorcius again, brought down by Taylor and Roberts. And so far, Lynch, not with what you would consider outstanding throwing statistics, but his team leading 10-0. They're doing it a little bit differently.
And this is an offense that is very efficient. If you look at that 49 of 50 in the red zone, that does include field goals, but they are very efficient down here.
Looking into the end zone, incomplete. Working against Brandon Wilson, it was Oglesby. And it's going to be 4th down coming up for Memphis, and in comes the field goal. Boy, that was a close miss. And Lynch, you see him shaking his head, thinking he should have had that one.
It was a good ball. He threw it right on a rope, just a hair too high, but a good delivery. Sometimes those balls from those big quarterbacks, and I know from experience catching from Dan Marino, they're tough to get to sometimes.
Elliott in for another field goal, connected from 41 earlier. This one from 30. And he just sneaks it inside that left upright. And so far, the Memphis Tigers pitching a shutout, leading 13-0. But plenty of football to go. Big game here in the American Conference.
Hey, this is Andrew Luck, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Just want to wish a happy Veterans Day.
And welcome back, everyone. And we once again salute our military representing their various schools here today. Memphis leading 13-0. Mark Jones on the side. Ryan Kinchin, Quinn Kesnick down on the field. And want to wish my partner Rod Gilmore get well wishes. This will come back out to the 20. 1st down and 10 for the Houston Cougars. They have got some issues offensively already with 3 3-and-outs, and that is very uncharacteristic for a team that averages 44 points a game. What do you see and what's wrong so far?
Major Applewhite, the offensive coordinator for Houston, has to be able to figure out how to get this football down the field. He's tried to drop Ward back and throw the football. They haven't been able to run it well on the perimeter. The only thing they haven't tried is inside run game, but that's going to be very difficult against that Memphis front.
Here's that inside run game to Kenneth Farrow, who puts up about 3 as we go back to Chris in the studio. Here, Ward met by a human roadblock by the name of Ricky Hunter. Boy, he put up a stop sign.
Well, when I talked about inside the tackles, I wasn't talking about Greg Ward. He's only 180 pounds, maybe soaking wet.
With rocks in his pocket.
Yes, that's not going to work, especially against big boy Hunter like that.
3rd down and 6. Coach Herman told Ward last year he wouldn't start him unless he weighed 180 pounds. He was packing on about 4,000 calories a day to get there. 3rd and 6. And that may have bounced and hit the turf. Incomplete. Intended for Chance Allen. And Ward hurried that throw in their 4th 3-and-out.
That one was really close. He was a little deep on the route. Looked like he might have got him underneath. They might want a second look at that one. He didn't do a good enough job of selling it. It didn't seem like it.
The ruling of an incomplete pass is under further review.
He had to come out of there complaining that, man, I caught that ball. He wasn't overly convincing. But it was really close. His hands are underneath. I think that's a catch. Now, granted,
that's a good angle right there.
The call on the field is the one that's going to be the important, which is called an incompletion. But
yeah, that actually did
unless
look
that
like
nose, unless that nose between his hands.
There's a good angle. Wow.
Yeah. I think they're gonna stay with that one. That looks like the nose in between his hands caught the ground.
Remember, there must be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field, which was incomplete. Yeah. There's the look.
Now, had that been called a completion, I think we might have been able to stay with that as well, because there's nothing saying that ball hit the ground except the appearance that nose tapped the ground right between his hands.
Well, this Houston team knows that this is a huge game, and their head coach Tom Herman said that there's an extra pep in their step. There has been this week. And it's not just another
After
game.
further review,
Here's the
ruling on the field of an incomplete pass is confirmed. 4th down.
And Coach Herman says we're not going to pretend that this isn't a big game, because it is. And we've actually earned the right to be 9-0. There's a lot of sweat equity that the Cougars have put into their record, and facing a lot of the critics who said they haven't beaten anybody, although they beat Louisville in Louisville, as Clemson did, by the same margin.
But in that open, we did talk about that strength of schedule, and it's the second team they've played all year over 500, and they struggled last week with Cincinnati, and we're seeing what's happening to them this afternoon.
Proctor with a fair catch on the 41-yard punt. Tigers with the ball again when we come back. Bengals against J.J. Watt. You saw him on the sidelines, and the Texans. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6 on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Bengals out to a great 8-0 start, best ever in franchise history. A look at nearby NRG Stadium. They got a little Disney on Ice show going on there right now, about 8 miles away from where we are. There's J.J. a pensive look on the sidelines. Might be the best athlete in football, right?
Could possibly be, without a doubt.
Lynch complete out to the 34. Nice catch by Jones as we go down to Quint.
Mark, during that TV timeout, Derek Wareheim, offensive line coach for Houston, stood amongst his offensive line players and basically put the differential in this game on his guys. He says, we're not getting it done, we're not blocking, we're missing assignments. He was under control, but his language certainly I can't repeat.
Yeah, it was piercing. We could tell from up here, Quinn. Great job. Lynch keeps it on the read option. And he was down at the 35-yard line. Tommy Mark making the stop on the play. We're joined by Roberts. 3rd down coming up for the Tigers. They've been pretty proficient on 3rd down this year. 7 of 11 in this game, and there's a look at those numbers. Boy, Houston -9 rushing tonight.
Yeah, able to do nothing down in the trenches, and you have to credit this.
The ruling on the field of the runner being down is under further review.
Now they're looking to see if Lynch was down
before that ball popped out. But that front 5 of Memphis has done a really good job with those young guys, especially in the middle, of being able to clear pass down the middle of that line to get those yardages.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a quick decision.
Yeah, that's
was down. You can't be any more down than he was before the ball came out.
Yeah, that seems a little silly to even look at that one again. But that's why we have replay. Make sure it's done right.
Justin Fuente, the head coach of the Tigers, he is one of the popular quote-unquote candidates for job openings across the college football landscape right now, as is his counterpart on the other side of the field. But Fuente, in just 4 years at Memphis, has taken that program
After
to great
further
heights.
review, the ruling on the field stands. It will be 3rd down.
Think about the win that the Tigers had earlier this season against Ole Miss. A real historic win in the annals of Tiger football, and that's really garnered a lot more momentum for the Tigers program.
Yeah, that's an eye-opener for anyone to see that.
3rd and 5. Has all day to throw, complete for the 1st down at the 41-yard line to Phil Mayhew. Mayhew picks up 6. Had a good game last week. Caught 5 passes, albeit in that loss against Navy. The tempo is slowed down a little bit here for Memphis. Not quite as fast as they were on their first couple of opening drives.
Yeah, they're really trying to slow it down just a hair. I like the call on the last play where you bring the crossing route and the delay, an easy throw for Lynch and an easy 1st down conversion on a 3rd and 5. Almost
3-1 in terms of time of possession in favor of Memphis. A run it to Sam Kraft, who's brought down by Roberts, and a 2-yard gain on the play.
Yeah, Memphis has run almost 3 times as many offensive plays as Houston has. And it doesn't look like that's going to change. And we talked about Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator for Houston, has to have an answer for what Memphis is doing up the middle of that offense.
Looking to throw here. Lynch under heat and sacked back at the 30 by Landon Roberts.
And those are the plays they need right there by their leaders. Not just vocal leader, but also a physical guy who comes up the middle, makes plays, gets hits on the quarterback. They have to have negative yardage plays to be able to get out of downs and get that offense back on the field and give them a chance.
3.5 sacks on the season for Roberts. One of the strongest players on that team, pound for pound. Cross in motion, he sets. They're going to run it on 3rd and long. And the Cougar defense responds, stopping Sam Kraft on the 4-yard gain. It'll be 4th and long, and Spencer Smith going to come into punt.
First stop they've had in a few series, and they needed that. They needed that for their confidence, but now the offense has to be able to come back onto the field and produce not just field position. They've got to get points on the board and get off the schneid for the night.
They've done a good job of keeping these punts away from Ayers, and they do it again with that Aussie rules punt as we punted back to the studio, Chris. Chris back here from the 24-yard line. Farrow in the backfield. Farrow not getting a lot of carries tonight. That pass incomplete, intended for Chance Allen. And the running game non-existent for the Cougars. Remember that they are missing one of their top running backs. Ryan Jackson out with a broken collarbone. Farrow with just 1 carry tonight for 4 yards.
And you cannot be one-dimensional against a good football team, especially a good defensive football team like Memphis. You have to be able to balance out your offensive attack, and they have not been able to do that.
Ward with nowhere to go. And brought down at the 22-yard line by McManus.
And we're seeing a little bit of carryover from last week. Playing the Navy midshipmen, you have to play assignment football, where somebody has the quarterback, somebody has the pitch guy, somebody has the down guy. And obviously that carried over to this week. No different from what they're trying to do. You got to have somebody assigned to Ward and somebody to the running back.
Look at that major discrepancy on the season compared to just 14 tonight. 3rd and long. A popular refrain for the Cougars, unfortunately, tonight. That pass complete, but short of the first down by a couple of yards. He hit Stephen Dunbar with his first reception, but still 4th down after the 10-yard gain.
And Dunbar, young guy, needs to make sure he gets it to the first down sticks. Good throw and catch, but needed about 2.5 more to convert.
Coach Herman's team now, Brian, with their 5th 3-and-out. That's more than they've had all season in one game. Mose Frazier back at his own 30-yard line for the Tigers. Ready for this Spencer Smith punt. Check that, this Logan Piper. Fair catch called at the 26. Tigers with an uprising here in Houston. That guy's leading the way. Garcia's on the backfield beside quarterback Paxton Lynch. Looking for his 9th consecutive game with 300 or more yards passing. They're going to snap Houston's perfect 9-0 mark this year. Vault themselves back to the top in the American Conference West Division. Oglesby with a nice move after the catch as we go back to the studio after the 12-yard gain. Chris? Hey, Chris Cotter, these guys get it out quick, man. They are going at turbo speed tonight. And Lynch has connected on 7 of his last 8 passes now. That one to Oglesby. 2nd down and 11 coming up. These teams trying to keep pace with Navy, who won earlier today against SMU. Complete to Dorcius, and a great move. Still on his feet, got a blocker ahead of him. Dorcius dominating. Touchdown Tigers. Had a great block from Phil Mayhew and went 61 yards.
Well, I was just fixing to talk about the lateral passing game of this Memphis offense and how boring it was and how they needed to try to go vertical. But when you can throw screens like that and have guys out in front to be able to execute the screen, and a great job of being patient running to the football and turning 6 points out of a slow screen. What a great call, what great execution from the Memphis Tigers.
The extra point good. And a sellout crowd was never so conspicuously silent. Welcome back, everyone, to Dr. Pepper's Championship Drive Game of the Week. And Memphis leading Houston 20-0. You can almost hear them on Beale Street back in Memphis right now, making noise for their hometown Tigers, who have come into Houston here and lit this place up. Dorcius with a 61-yard run. He's still holding on to that football. He's not letting that go, Brian Kinson. No. That one's coming home.
Yeah, that might not happen very often for him.
We're still searching for that big play as we take one more look at that nice touchdown run by Dorcius.
And the great job by Lynch of looking off the screen. Very good job of executing, being patient. A lot of times when you get into a football game, the running back and the lineman have a tendency to get quick, and they're too early. But you can tell they worked on it time and time again in practice, timed it up really well, and did a great job of being patient and letting his blockers work for him down the field and not getting ahead of them.
A daunting task ahead for the Cougars, down 20-0. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Ward goes through his progression, finds Farrell out of the backfield. Nice spin move by Farrell. And that gets a charge out of the crowd out near midfield. Farrell for 25 yards. 1st and 10. They're going to move here quickly. 3 timeouts remaining. That's the longest play of the game, 25 yards.
Not a whole lot of time on the clock.
Ward in trouble and sacked back at the 48 by Wynton McManus.
Timeout.
Ward getting up slowly.
Their first charge
ding on that play.
Will be a 30-second timeout.
And that's something you just don't see him do very often. He's just pulling his eyes down rather quickly, and he's not really trusting his line to be able to protect him up front and getting off of his progressions really, really early.
There's a look at the backup quarterback, Kyle Postma, 6'3" sophomore out of Katy, Texas, quickly warming up. Ward is a major part of this Houston offense. Don't have to tell you that. He's the only player in the nation, folks, that throws for over 200 and runs for over 90 yards per game. Here's one more look at what happened.
Just look, maybe an ankle when he got brought down. Turned just a hair. And just when they started to move chains, and I was going to talk about, that's what they need to focus on. They need to focus on just getting first downs, and this guy getting hurt is not going to be good on that philosophy, because he is the guy that runs that offense.
Good to see him able to walk off the field under his own power. A very understated, introspective young man. Had a chance to meet with him a couple of weeks ago when we were here, and one of those kids from East Texas who wear their humility on their sleeve.
That's exactly right.
A very proud and hardworking community that he comes from.
Major Applewhite referred to him as a guy who's pure at heart. And he wants to learn everything, like you said.
And, from the same high school as Earl Campbell, which carries a lot of weight. Oh, yeah. 2nd and 12. There's Ayers on the jet sweep. But a nice block out in front of him, but pushed out of bounds at the 44-yard line by Dontrell Nelson.
We get a glimpse of Ayers, a guy they need to try to figure out how to get the football to more often. He has not been able to touch it as a punt returner. Memphis has done a good job of keeping it away from him, but they've got to be more inventive in the offense to get him 8, 10, 12 touches in this football game.
Here's Postma, a little backside heat. He completes the pass to Ayers, who picks up a first down at the 38-yard line, working against Nelson. You wonder how much it changes Houston's offensive package if Ward Jr. can't come back into the game. 1st and 10. Farrell in the backfield. Farrell with the catch. And tackled at the 30 as we go down to Quint after the 7-yard gain.
Mark, Kyle Postma was actually a wide receiver earlier in the year, but the backup quarterback, Adam Schultz, tore his ACL, so he stopped playing wide receiver. So he is a good athlete, not quite the runner that Ward is, but he is capable. You'll see less design runs and maybe a little more throwing game.
That pass incomplete. Went low at the 25, intended for Bonner. Allen defending on the play. 3rd down and 3. Ward still trying to walk off that injured leg on the sidelines. And if that wasn't bad enough, they're down 20-0, Brian.
Yeah, he's going to have to get tape on that, and hopefully he's able to come back in the second half. But in this 2-minute situation, Memphis has been content to sit back in zone and have them throw underneath. But they're going to go into man coverage on 3rd and 3 and try to stop this drive in its tracks.
Taking a shot up top, has a man open. Punt! Touchdown, Bonner! It's all about team as Postma comes in cold off the bench and heats up this offense.
Sometimes you never know where that spark is going to come from offensively, and that was the last guy on our list. We thought it would be the backup quarterback in that situation, but great job by him of making something out of nothing.
Timeout Memphis. It's their first timeout. It will be a 30-second timeout.
As Memphis calls timeout in the wake of the 2nd touchdown pass of the season for Postma. Here's one more look. Went through his progression nicely.
And I went through the fact that they went to man coverage, and when you go to man coverage, even though they had a safety in the middle of the field, you bring in risk. It is a risk-reward situation. Obviously, they took it on the chin on that one. Memphis did, going to man coverage. It wasn't a great ball. It wasn't thrown real well, but Dunbar did a great job of going in, or Bonner did a good job of going up and bringing the ball down and catching it, high-pointing the football, and getting 6 out of it.
Postma with his 2nd touchdown pass of the season, 2nd of his career. You hear heard Quint a little bit earlier document the fact that he was a wide receiver not that long ago this season.
It's a similar story to the guy we got behind center. Just like that route to the QB position.
The extra point is good. Boy, how big was that touchdown for the Cougars? Of course, a rhetorical question. Now right back in the ball game. The first 6 drives, just 24 yards, all resulting in punts. And Ward started this drive. Postma came in after they crossed midfield to finish it off, 75 yards in all, and they finally get on the scoreboard. Moving forward now in the second half with just 37 seconds to go in the first half here. You wonder if Ward will be able to go, if he'll come out, if he is able to go, or does Coach Herman stick with Postma?
And it'll be interesting because they will get the ball out of halftime. Memphis started the game with their possession, so it'll be interesting because Ward has been very, very unproductive tonight, and not that it's all on him, even though we alluded to it earlier that a lot of it is on his shoulders, but the running game has not been there. The offensive line has not done a great job of protecting him, and really have gone away with nothing all night until we got to that last drive and throwing the ball up for grabs, really.
Oglesby back for the kick. And suddenly, TD-ECU Stadium has life. Cooper on the return, out to the 30. Well, folks, Week 10 is upon us in the NFL. We have you covered in the morning, get you ready, all the games coming up. NFL Insider Sunday edition starts at 10 a.m. followed by Countdown at 11. After the hit to Teddy Bridgewater's head last week, the guys on the desk debate whether all quarterbacks are treated equally. Actually, an issue that came up a little bit earlier this year with Cam Newton's injury when he took a hit. That all starts Sunday at 10 on ESPN, and watch ESPN. Now, how does Paxton Lynch do here in wake of that touchdown by Houston? It looks like they're in victory formation. This is going to take it into the locker room. But all in all, a good first half for the visitors from Memphis. Bouncing back after losing last week for the first time in 16 games. They lost against Navy, but this guy right here, Postma. Kyle Postma coming in, going 4 of 5 on the last drive and putting Houston on the scoreboard for the first time. Head coach Justin Fuente addressing his team before they head into the locker room. So much on the line in the American Conference West Division as we go to the studio for the Outback Steakhouse halftime report. Quint will have Coach after in a minute. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the American Conference on ESPN under the lights here in Houston at TD-ECU Stadium. A big surprise right now as Memphis leads the hometown team 20-7 as we begin the third quarter. Mark Jones alongside Brian Kinch and Quint Kesnick down on the sidelines joining us in just a bit. Hey, Houston in trouble right now, although they're going to get the ball here to start third quarter. Ward, the starting quarterback, a little nicked up. What is their biggest concern moving forward?
They can't make first downs. They've been 3 and out 5 of their 7 possessions so far, and they've got to be able to get first downs. They've got to be able to move the football down the field and give them chances to be able to put points on the board, because Memphis has done a great job defensively of shutting down Ward in this entire Cougar offense.
Let's go downstairs to Quint.
Coach, what's the status of Greg Ward?
Not good. Rolled his ankle pretty good, and we're going to tape him up. I doubt he'll be back, but we're going to try to jog him around a little bit on the sideline, see how it feels. But I would doubt that he would come back.
What needs to change in terms of generating a running game?
We got to block them better. We got to identify what front they're in. As we said, going into this game, very multiple defensively, and kind of shell-shocked, I think, some of our young linemen a little bit. And we got to identify them first, and then do their assignment. Just do their job. We'll be all right.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, they did their job on first down there, picking up 9 yards, complete to DeMarcus Ayers. Kyle Postma in at quarterback here to start the third quarter. Greg Ward Jr. injured in the second quarter. Postma came in, went 4 for 5 on a 75-yard drive and led them into the end zone. That their only score of the ball game. Postma, though, sacked here back at the 34-yard line.
And I like the call on first down, just as you similarly would do with a young quarterback, someone who's gotten to the football game fairly new. You take a short intermediate throw, give him a second short. You take a shot play, doesn't work out, you still have another down to get your first.
Third and short coming up. Postma looking to pass, busted play. Complete to Chance Allen. Down to the 41. A little improvisational skill by Postma results in the first down and a gain of 26.
Talk about extending the play. A Greg Ward specialty right there, but Postma doing the same thing, giving his receivers time to get open, to make a play, and to get a first down.
First and 10. Postma downfield and short of his intended receiver again. Chance Allen at the 20-yard line. Let's go down to Quinn.
Memphis operating right now without their will linebacker, Jannard Avery, number 6 in white, one of their leading tacklers, had his right wrist wrapped right here. They took him inside for x-rays at halftime. Still undecided whether he can or cannot play. Offensively, you'll see them operating without Anthony Miller, their wide receiver. He's done for the day with a left hamstring.
Boy, that is a big loss for Memphis on offense. And Avery, maybe their most dynamic player, on the sidelines right now. Second and 10 for Houston. Postma. Ayers juggled it, but miraculously made the catch. Picked up 12 and a first down working against Nelson.
Looked like Nelson actually deflected it back into his hands on the double catch by Ayers. Ayers usually very sure-handed receiver.
Check that third down coming up. 3 to go. Webb, first down at the 17. And the Cougars unable to run the ball in the first half at all. Pick up 16 there.
And those few short throws that we saw earlier in that drive have opened up the middle run game.
Postma hands it off. Donovan Webb again. They were minus 13 running the ball in the first half. They've already surpassed that total here in the third quarter. Suttle's making a stop on the play. Second down coming up. Ayers lining up in the slot out to the top of your screen here on second down. Let's look at the rushing total now, up to 20. Postma. Redshirted here 2 years ago, went to JUCO, came back here now on scholarship. Again, the year as a wide receiver, keeps it on the option, and down to the 6-yard line, close to another first down.
And that's only about the third time we've seen that option run to the perimeter, and they weren't very successful on their first couple of opportunities.
First and goal. Into the end zone, incomplete. Ayers there. No flag on the play. Chris Morley in on the coverage.
And he's got his hands all over him and not playing the football. That's usually an automatic flag. You see that every week, game in, game out. When the defender's not playing the football, that flag will come out. Morley knows better. He knows he got away with one right there.
Second down and goal. Allen split to the bottom of your screen, number 21. Ayers out top, he's their leading receiver. Farrell, touchdown Cougars, here they come. Kenneth Farrell resuscitating, reviving that once dormant, dead Houston running attack. His 11th rushing touchdown of the year, 33rd of his career. And look at this, Houston down by just 6. An offense which was on life support earlier has really been resurrected.
If you're going to ask me what play they scored with on the opening of half, it would not be up the middle running the football.
Scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Mark Jones, Brian Kinchin, Pete Pesnick down on the field, Chris Farrell with the touchdown before we went to commercial a moment ago, and Houston trailing by just 6. Oglesby. Nice return for Oglesby out to the 32 as we go back to the touchdown, and they seem to have figured something out on that offensive line. What was the key here, though?
Yeah, those short passes have opened up the inside, and we look at Carter Wall, number 65 here, and McCloskey, number 45 here, clearing out the way up the middle, the last place we thought that they would be able to threaten that Memphis defense in the first half, but they came out. Different game plan, nice adjustments by Major Applewhite, the offensive coordinator of Houston, finding a hole in that defense and getting 6 points on the board early and quick.
Those first 6 drives resulting in 6 punts, the last 2 resulting in a couple of touchdowns. Dorcius in the backfield for Memphis. And we're going to have a little procedure against the Tigers.
Ball stop. Offense, number 80, 5-yard penalty, first down.
They're going to move this back 5 yards. Lynch did a great job in the first half, getting his team into the end zone a couple of times. But right now, missing one of his key cogs offensively. It's Dorcius picking up a couple of yards, brought down by Taylor. But Anthony Miller is on the sidelines, number 3 right there, as Quint Kesenick reported a couple of moments ago, is out with a hamstring injury, unable to return. Zeros across the stat sheet for him tonight. And that is arguably the most dynamic receiver. Pass complete to Mayhew. Made one defender miss, and you sense the momentum has switched back to Houston, but a flag thrown, and we may have a late hit.
After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense, number 81, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the first penalty against Houston tonight.
Well, Bowser, number 81, got shoved in the back by Roberts, number 44, was inadvertent.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Shouldn't have happened, but just a bizarre play that he had no control over. Next thing you know, 15 yards the other way. Thank you, buddy.
I've never seen that.
Appreciate that one.
Where a personal foul results from one of your own players.
That's crazy.
Pushing you into an opposing player. Could be a Friday Not Top 10 play. Here's Lynch on the rollout. And that was pretty close, too.
Yeah, he was trying to get one himself there. Roberts said, I'm not shoving people into him. I'm going after him myself. But that was a good hit.
Paxton Lynch picks up 2 on the play. Second down and 8 for the Tigers. One more look and see.
Just before it goes out.
Yeah.
I like the no call on that one.
Coming from a guy that was on offense, that surprises me, man.
I mean, I'm as biased as it gets, or unbiased as it gets.
Second and 8. Lynch on the bootleg, and he shows you his speed, folks. Picking up the first down at the 42-yard line. Paxton Lynch picks up 9. Remember, if you're just joining us, it's This might be the best quarterback you never heard of. On Mel Kiper's and Todd McShay's board, the #1 prospect at the quarterback position. A flag thrown on the play. Lynch did not have any scholarship offers coming out of high school until late.
False start. Offense. Number 71. 5-yard penalty.
That's a reoccurring event all night long. That offensive line has been jumping consistently. Right when they had that momentum flowing their way and answering Houston's opening drive, puts them a little bit behind the chains.
1st and 15 now. On Houston's side of midfield. They just get the play off. And it's complete. Mose Frazier inside the 40 as we go to the studio. Chris. Dorcius on the run down to the 31-yard line. And after that last completion, Lynch setting a school single-season passing record of over 3,200 yards. Little reverse. Mayhew looking to throw. Incomplete. That hit the turf at the 15-yard line, intended for Mose Frazier. They were sitting on that one.
Well, they had the double reverse throwback pass last week versus Navy, so obviously Houston was clued in on the fact that that might be a repeat event, even though it was different in the sense that Lynch never got the football back. But a great job of defending on the perimeter and downfield on the trickery.
2nd and 10. They run it into the boundary. Dorcius breaking a tackle. Pushed out of bounds at the 19 by Roberts, who makes yet another stop.
Dorcius has been the most consistent guy running the football on both sides. He's the only guy who's got the ball repetitively throughout the evening and done something with it.
Picked up 13. They call on him again. Down to the 13-yard line. Another good gain. Picks up 5. And as I mentioned a moment ago, Paxton Lynch continuing to indelibly etch his name into the school record books. And you think about the impact that Lynch has had on this Memphis program over the last 3 years, especially last year when they went 10-3, won the inaugural Miami Beach Bowl against BYU, and authoring another memorable season here. Going to take off with it. Lynch pushed out of bounds. They're going to mark it at the 7-yard line. Stephen Taylor pushed him out of bounds, but picked up 6.
I'm becoming more and more impressed with his ability to run the football as the game progresses.
He's not a statue back there.
He is not at all. And with the length of those strides, it's very deadly and very, very effective.
11th play of the drive coming up for the Tigers.
This is a great answer to Houston's opening drive. They had to have this.
1st and goal. Cooper in the backfield. Cooper over the right side of that offensive line, running over Tate and Kuhn, but brought down by Tommy Mark. Picked up a yard. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
And the great thing about having a balanced attack, that running game, to be able to offset losing Anthony Miller, number 3. Really, the void has not been noticed that much, especially on this opening drive. But obviously, somebody's going to have to step in and fill that void later down the road in this ballgame.
Timeout, Houston.
Cougars call their first time out of the half. 2nd and goal when we come back. Head scratching time for Coach Herman.
College football, brought to you by Jared, the Gallery of Jewelry. Come in for the one piece of jewelry she will love forever. And Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Look at mission control at the Johnson Space Center here in Houston, about 30 minutes southeast of the stadium. Welcome back to Dr. Pepper's Championship Drive Game of the Week. Tigers trying to launch again here in the second half, take flight. Lynch hands it off, and they just did. Dorcius with the touchdown. And what an answer by the Tigers to Houston's touchdown on their last drive. And this place just went quiet again. A 12-play, 68-yard drive, about 4.5 minutes on the clock. And they go back up by 12, the extra point to come. Dorcius with a rushing touchdown and a reception for a touchdown here tonight.
And not really a fancy drive. Really just putting the ball on the ground and Lynch using his feet a couple of times to extend the drive. And really looked pretty simple. Really wouldn't have expected that. The momentum shifting. The Cougar defense may be feeding off of the offense a little bit, but it didn't play out that way.
Dorcius saying, hey, mission control, Johnson Space Center. You got a problem right here. Okay. Memphis Tigers looking to bounce back after losing their first game in 16 outings last week against Navy. So much at stake for both the Tigers, their quarterback Paxton Lynch, and Houston trying to remain undefeated at 9-0 coming into this game. Houston at 8-1, very tight atop the standings in the American Conference West Division. In the East, Temple cruising along undefeated, one loss overall, undefeated in conference play, but stumbling tonight. More on that in a minute. Here's a look at the remaining schedules of the respective teams here. Memphis and Houston is at UConn. Temple plays Memphis at home next week, and Navy is at Tulsa. But interesting news coming out of Temple tonight as they are trailing against USF. That was a little unannounced and unexpected. 31-10 in the third.
Quite a hole with Higgins Delgado.
The group of 5 representative. Thought to be coming out of the American Conference. 4 teams nationally ranked in the conference. Farrow over the 30-yard line picks up 6 on the play. 3 teams in the American Conference West nationally ranked, 1 in the East. So let's forget all that talk about the SEC West. We got the American Conference West.
That's right.
Ayers on the jet sweep. Chopped down at the 35-yard line by Dontrell Nelson. Picked up 4 of them.
And I fully expect Major Applewhite to stick with what he found successful in that opening drive, those short intermediate throws that we really didn't see even Greg Ward do earlier, that he's given to Postma, that has opened up the running game very nicely on the inside of that Memphis defense.
Ayers makes the catch and a nice move. Ayers across the 40 to the 42-yard line. If you're just joining us, Kyle Postma in at quarterback for Greg Ward, who was shaken up midway through the second quarter. Actually late in the second quarter, suffering a lower leg injury. Postma, who began the year as a wide receiver, completes that pass to Chance Allen, who picks up 3. Ward, meanwhile, was injured on this play late in the second.
And according to Tom Herman, will not be back in this ball game. Said very frankly coming out of the half. So it's all on Postma. Kyle Postma's got to bring this victory home if they plan on staying unbeaten. But I like the fact they're getting Ayers, number 10, in the game plan in these first 2 series. He's been devoid in that first half. We haven't seen him a lot, and he's a difference maker.
Offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's against Cameron Eloff. That offensive line up the middle. The 2 guards in the center, all freshmen, folks. redshirt freshmen and 2 true freshmen. Freeman and Noble. 1st and 15. Farrell with a little counter step. Broke a couple of tackles. There's a flag down in the play. Farrell brought down at midfield. Let's see if this play stands. A flag back at the 39.
Offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Yeah, anytime you're in the backfield, right next to the running back, and the referee's about 10 feet away, and your guy goes down and you're on top of him, chances are you're going to get a holding call.
You're trying to tell me that's an easy one, huh?
That's an easy one. You didn't have to think real hard on pulling the laundry on that one.
It's interesting as you look at Coach Herman, and this game tighter than most games this year for Houston. He told us in our meetings earlier he's glad of the fact that they played a very tight game last week against Cincinnati in the 3-point win. Ayers underneath, another flag down at the 20-yard line. Let's see if this one stands or not. Ayers brought down at the 47 by DeMarco Montgomery, a 16-yard gain.
Offense, number 65, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
And that one's going to come back too. That's the 3rd straight penalty.
Yeah, Carter Wall, the right tackle, who had done such a great job earlier. Where's that? Wait, he was a doormat.
He got trucked.
And they called a penalty on it. That was odd, really? To say the least. He got run over and got a penalty. That's like double jeopardy for a big old lineman. Man.
Unless maybe he pulled him down.
Yeah. First
and Galveston to go. Postma going to take off. Great burst of speed around the edge. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 32, so we got a nice chunk of 12 yards back. 2nd down coming up. You know, the analytics show that if you get a penalty on 1st down, a negative play on 1st down, chances are you don't end up scoring on that drive.
And when you get 30 of them before you snap it on 1st down, that's probably even worse, if ever.
Memphis showing some pressure up front. Postma kind of hesitated to throw it incomplete to Linnell Bonner.
Well, he really got spooked on that. He saw all those guys lined up, 6 of them on the line of scrimmage, and really got out of his rhythm and gave the play no chance. Now here's an opportunity really just to take some field position. It's a 3rd and 24. Take your slow screen, your quick screen, take the yards they'll give them. Play field. Play the field with it.
Postma going to take a shot uptown. Allen. Incomplete. And no flag. Chance Allen defended well by Lanier. Chauncey Lanier says, not right now. 4th down coming up. And here comes the punt. That's what happens when you have those negative plays on 1st down. 4.5 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. And Houston's perfect 9-0 record in peril right now, trailing by 13 points. Trying to keep pace with Navy in the American Conference West Division. Navy winning earlier today against SMU. This is Proctor with the catch. Out of bounds around the 35. 36-yard punt. Back after this.
Chicago, my town, where past champions will clash.
All I want is everything you got, so give me it all.
And future champions will be decided. The Champions Classic and College Football Playoff Top 25. All live from Chicago Tuesday on ESPN.
18 combined championships between those teams participating. And you know what? If you got Mike Ditka doing the voiceover, you must watch. 1st down and 10 for the Tigers. And remember, as Lynch pushed out of bounds at the line of scrimmage between games of that basketball double dip. It's the college football playoff show. Get a chance to see who's going to be in the top 4 in the college football playoff rankings. Come out on Tuesday night in between that basketball doubleheader. Dorcius. Well, he has been very nimble tonight, leaving them a 3rd down and about 3. Lauren Dorcius, the sophomore out of New Orleans.
And sticking with what works, what's worked all evening, running the football well inside the tackles.
19 times for 82 yards. 3rd and 3. Lynch, a little late blitz coming. Picked up. And Lynch tries to stretch that ball out. They've spotted him with a very gracious spot. A very advantageous one, and he got the 1st down. Stuck that ball out at the end of the run here, Brian.
Yeah, just did get it. Again, we see him just not incredible, not all eye-popping, but he gets the yardage when he needs it. He knows where the 1st down marker is, gets what he needs. Houston did a good job of sitting back in zone. He didn't press it, didn't force it, just took what they gave him.
1st and 10. Drills one complete to the 48-yard line to Mose Frazier. 7-yard gain for Frazier. If you're just joining us, Paxton Lynch didn't have any scholarship offers in National Signing Day 2012. Hands it off here to Dorcius, and then several schools had a look at him but didn't pull the trigger. Actually, Charlie Weiss at one point was going to offer him a scholarship, then ended up taking the Kansas job, so that was off the table. Miami had him into camp and decided not to offer. 3rd and 1. Looks like he got it. They're going to give Dorcius a very propitious spot.
Yeah, those last couple of spots have certainly favored the Tigers. You wouldn't think so, Houston being on their home turf. But that's all they need to do at this point. They've been successful all evening, moving the football down the field, progressively running the football at will, taking what they'll give them in the passing game, and Houston doesn't have an answer for it. Landon Roberts, number 44, our impact player, has kind of been a little quiet tonight. Hadn't been able to do much with that running game up the middle of his defense.
On the move to Montiel. And Montiel, as we go back to Chris in the studio. For 2nd and 5 here from the 40-yard line. He's connected on his last 9 passes, hands it off this time. Dorcius with nowhere to go. And Cater, a group of tacklers, brings him down to the 41. It'll be 4th down coming up. Pardon me, no gain. 3rd down coming up. The 41-yard line, and a Cougar player shaken up on the field. I thought it was Taylor. Third down and 6. Let's take a look at the injury. And it was Taylor.
Hard to tell on that look there.
We're going to take a timeout and come back right after this. And hopes of a division title in peril right now, 3rd and 6.
They sat back in zone last couple of times and got beat by Lynch.
Lynch on the run, takes it and gets enough for the first down. What a burst of speed by the lanky quarterback. He picks up 9. Nothing new for him.
Same thing. They get in that zone. It looked like they were man coverage there, but Lynch has gotten them every single time. The guy that we were looking at on the other side of the football, Greg Ward, we were looking at the wrong guy. Who's been the most effective moving the football on the ground tonight has been Lynch, the 6'7" guy who's pocket that.
12 rushes for 38 yards. And he moves the chains again on 3rd down. Tried to send his receiver downfield. Alan Cross couldn't get there, and maybe that flag tells you why. Flag down at the 18-yard line. Looked like Cross tried to cut up field, but the defender impeded his progress.
There's no foul for defensive pass interference. The ball was ruled to be uncatchable. 2nd down.
There's your explanation.
Cross looked unhappy with his quarterback there. I don't know if you noticed that, because he was wide open in the flats, and Lynch almost said, I don't want to throw you the football. Yeah. And he let him know it at the end of that play, but you got to be careful, because you don't want to upset those quarterbacks. They won't ever throw you the football if you do that.
Houston defense, which leads the nation in takeaways, has yet to create one tonight. Here they come with a blitz. Lynch gets the ball out in time and drops a dime at the 24-yard line to Frazier.
And that's what's so beautiful about having a 6'7" quarterback who can wing it out there on a dime.
And that's going to be the end, maybe the last play of this 3rd quarter, as Paxton Lynch has been a picture of precision, a portrait of perfection when it's counted most here tonight. 227 yards passing. Houston trying to mount a rally, but Memphis has had all the answers to counter. 4th quarter coming up. Welcome back and a look at our game summary. Paxton Lynch on his way to another 300-yard game passing. He's got 8 consecutive. But look at that bottom note there. Houston, which leads the nation in takeaways with none tonight. Meanwhile, Ward on the sidelines, injured late in the 2nd quarter, has not been in the game since. Now Postma has taken over. Taking him in the end zone a couple of times, too. On 3rd and 3. Wide open, Jones will get to the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers!
Listen,
The Beale Street Bullies rolling through Houston and taking over the papers, the lease, everything here on TD ECU Stadium. (33-14), and what a way to start the final quarter. With the extra point. And if you thought that after 15 straight wins and then that loss last week against Navy, that would have been it for the Tigers, no way.
Well, they get in that spread full look, which is almost like a short yardage grouping for a spread offense, and run the triple option to perfection for the score. And Houston just unable to stop that run from play 1 of the night.
Tevin Jones with his first rushing touchdown of the season, the 2nd of his career. And once again taking the air out of Houston, albeit maybe temporarily. Tevin Jones, one of several Memphis receivers who were former walk-ons. 5 of them in all. Big part of the rebuilding job that Justin Fuente has done since, of course, putting Jones and others on scholarship. But their numbers were down when Fuentes took over on December the 8th. Fuente went 4-8, 3-9, then 10-3 last year. And let's take a look at tonight's hard-working player, brought to you by Duluth. Paxton Lynch has pulled out all his tools in the toolbox tonight.
He has just been effective at everything that he's wanted to do. This offense has been very balanced. They've done what they've wanted at will against Houston. Houston has not had an answer all night, and the credit goes to him, as we talked about in the opening of this broadcast, that offense succeeds because of his talent and him alone.
Well, Coach Fuente told us that as heralded as he is now, #1 on Todd McShay's board for quarterbacks, he still plays like he has a chip on his shoulder. Here's Postma, his counterpart. Incomplete. At the 45-yard line, tried to find DeMarcus Ayers. But he was not a 5-star or 4-star recruit. He was overlooked. And he's playing with so much motivation right now.
And you have to have that. You have to have fuel for your fire to motivate you to get out of bed every day to try to be your best.
2nd and 10. Backfield complete to Webb. Webb will pick up the first down. You can't overstate how important this drive is for the Cougars. Trying to pull out the win here and remain undefeated. 9-0 coming into the ball game, but Coach Herman's starting quarterback getting hurt wasn't part of the script here. Greg Ward on the sidelines. Postma complete to Bonner. Remember, a potential berth in a New Year's 6 bowl at stake tonight. Houston and Memphis at 5-0 and 4-1 respectively. Navy winning earlier today against SMU, but still a lot of interesting football to play in a backloaded schedule in the American Conference. Houston has to play Navy still. Memphis takes on UConn. Postma downfield. Caught by Ayers at the 17. In traffic, too.
That was one of those footballs when he put it up. I was going, what is he doing? Because it looked like he had no concept of where he was trying to put that football. He had 4 verticals down the middle of the field, but he threw it right between his 2 receivers.
40-yard gain by Ayers. Receivers out to the right. Postma hits Ayers on the little bubble screen. And he's tripped up just shy of the 10-yard line. You saw Ayers out there, Brian, kind of align his fellow receivers, it seemed like, before the play. It looked like they had a little issue.
Directing traffic out there. But getting him in space is key. They need to find better ways to do that. They've been a little bit lulled at that lately, earlier in this ball game.
6-yard gain. Farrow puts his hat down and muscles his way into the score. Farrow with his 2nd touchdown of the night. And it's a 2-score deficit, with plenty of time to go still for Houston. Well, we had an inkling that things might ultimately and eventually heat up on the offensive side of the ball. We've already had a couple of touchdowns. We haven't even played 4 minutes here in the 4th quarter. Again, Andy Dalton leads the undefeated 8-0 Bengals against the Texans. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6 on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. The Bengals off to an 8-0 start, franchise best. Previous best was 6-0 back in 1975 and 1988. So I'm thinking 75. That's like Ken Anderson days, right?
I think that's about right. I was about 8, 9, or 10 years old. That's right.
1988, that would have been like Icky Woods, maybe. The Icky Shuffle. Here's Oglesby on the return. And Oglesby stopped at the 23-yard line. Back to Chris in the studio. Back at the 23-yard line now. 1st and 10 for Paxton Lynch. And the time of possession, which sometimes is a big determinant, sometimes isn't. What do you make of those numbers?
That's how you do it. As I said, it's like what happened to them last week versus Navy, and they've turned the tides on their opponent against Houston tonight of controlling the football.
But on 1st down, Thurman stops up Dorsey as Quint.
Mark, Memphis has done a terrific job tonight identifying the blitz, moving the pocket, and avoiding this, highly aggressive Houston defense. Only 1 sack tonight, and Lynch has done a great job of scrambling on 3rd down as well.
You talk about him scrambling. Coaches really marvel at how at 6'8", Fuente says he's so natural under center or running the football. They put it on the ground, and Houston may have recovered. There's the takeaway they've been waiting for.
Long overdue from this defense, but very, very timely.
That appeared to be a bad toss as Nick Thurman recovers the loose ball. They're the best in the country in turnover margin, and that's part of the reason why.
There's nothing about the defense. 1st down.
First turnover of the night, and actually the pitch was good, the catch wasn't.
Just took his eyes off the football for an instant, and the next thing you know, this ball game is swinging, especially if Houston can come out and continue what they've been doing. And credit Kyle Postma, the quarterback, who's done a very, very good job of sitting in the pocket, being comfortable, making throws, and directing this offense that Greg Ward could not do in the 1st half.
1st and 10. Postman's going to take a shot here. Ayers on the jet sweep, nowhere to go, stuffed and losing a few yards. Back at the 22-yard line, Christian Johnson. Loss of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 12, but the Cougars working with a short field here. Under 12 minutes to go. Trying to avoid their first setback of the season. Playing without their starting quarterback, Greg Ward, out with a leg injury. Postma gives it to Farrell. It'll be 3rd down and a long 9 as Leonard Pegues makes the stop. Ward hurt near the latter part of the 1st half. He's now the DAP coach on the sideline.
We've seen the slow screen from Memphis earlier in the game that was very effective. A great time here maybe for Houston to dial up the same formula, especially with Memphis bringing pressure.
Postma looks Ayers' way, and it's through the hands of Bonner. Should have been caught. And instead, it's 4th down. Do you take the field goal here, or do you go for it?
That's a good question.
Looks like Postman's going to stay on the field.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to think too hard about it on 4th and 10.
Going to go quick. Or at least pretend to. 8 of 17 on the season on 4th down. And now Memphis is going to call timeout.
Timeout, Memphis. Their first charge timeout.
11:04 to go in the ball game. Back after this.
To you by Taco Bell's new Steak Boss Wraps and Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
A pivotal 4th down coming up. And Postma trotting back onto the field. Houston looking like they're going to go for it here. What do you make of this move here at this point of the game?
Well, I guess you've got to try. You got the possession. You got the free possession. But I think you send them vertical here. You check down Farrow underneath, and almost in a delay release.
Ayers is split to the bottom of your screen in the slot. Inside receiver. Blitz coming. Postma under duress. Got rid of it. Caught for the first down. But there's a flag down on the play. Chance Allen made the play at the 7. In some heavy traffic. A 13-yard gain for the first down. Let's see if it stands, though. Here's the call.
Holding. Defense. Number 16. Penalties declined. Result of the play. First down.
Well, you roll the
cheering
dice.
on his teammate Postma.
You roll the dice and they come up 7. But because of Postma extending that play, setting his feet, getting his shoulders turned, and making the throw.
Huge call by head coach Tom Herman. First and goal now. Farrow, who's already got 2 touchdowns tonight, nowhere to go that time. Stopped up right near the line of scrimmage by Donald Pennington. Herman, the former offensive coordinator at Ohio State, trying to press the right button here, but that gamble paying off. A moment ago on 4th down. Maybe a season saver. A conference championship saver for Houston. Second and goal. The throwback wide open. Touchdown McCloskey. And there's a flag down too. On the far side of the field in the end zone.
And they're talking about McCloskey.
There were 2 fouls on the play. Holding. Defense. Number 17. Illegal touching. Offense. Number 45, who was covered up, and an ineligible receiver. Those penalties were offset. Replay second down.
So they'll take the score off the board.
I highly doubt it was intentional to cover up your tight end. Thus the name, end. Must have been an alignment issue with one of the wide receivers out wide. Had him out wide on the edge. Covered up.
Second and goal coming up. Postma, a predetermined quarterback run, and he got rocked at the 6-yard line. Nowhere to go. There was no hole on that left side of the offensive line. A 1-yard gain. Looking at 3rd and goal now.
And that's a play you'll see with Greg Ward a lot right off tackle. Very successful with his speed. Not as effective with
up at the line quick. Postma into the end zone. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of Bonner. So 4th and goal. They went for it last time on 4th down. And they're sending in another receiver here. Tight end Hayden Daniels. And they're keeping the offense on the field. They converted last time on 4th.
This gets it to a 1-score game. But obviously, again, another roll of the dice by Tom Herman.
5 receivers. Low snap. Into the end zone. Incomplete. No flag intended for Chance Allen. And great defense by Chauncey Lanier. The throw a little bit high. And a little bit of wind coming out of Houston's collective sails after that sequence. Only think of Tell us why that was a penalty, Brian, a moment ago against the Cougars, formation-wise, and why it cost them. Talk about it in just a moment. Memphis up at the line of scrimmage with 9.5 to go here. Their defense came up big, and now their offense, Dorsey, is shifting into overdrive out to the 46-yard line. Let's go back to that penalty. The receiver was covered, making him ineligible.
Yeah, McCloskey, the tight end right here, is covered up by the wide guy out here. Chance Allen, number 21, making McCloskey inside ineligible to be able to go out and catch a pass on the play. Big, huge error right there. Great call, but just a huge mistake on the alignment issue for that particular play.
So should McCloskey have been back?
He could have been back. That would have been fine. Or if Chance Allen was off, either one of them.
Kraft in a tailback, he gets the carry. As Memphis now up 13 points with 8:46 to go in the ball game. Trying to improve to 6-1. Pardon me, 5-1 in conference play. They've won 15 of their last 16 games. Their lone loss coming last week against Navy. Win tonight for Memphis is huge. This is basically an elimination game for them in terms of the conference race. Lynch picked off by Roberts. And the Cougars with life again. The second leading tackler in the nation comes up with a big pick and shows you that he's got good hands too.
That was a special delivery right to it. Didn't even have to bat an eye. And a good job with the play action, but just delivers it right into his hands. Really one of those throws that as a linebacker you would look and say, there's no way he's going to deliver this football. And he did. And you got to credit him to have the hands to be able to pull it in. A lot of guys who get surprised like that, very difficult to pull the ball in.
Just the third interception that Lynch has thrown all year. 1st and 10. Houston didn't get any points out of the last turnover. Postman. Complete. Bonner. 1st down. Working against Molly.
Way too much time to throw that football. Extending the play, moving out of the pocket obviously helps and hinders that defensive pass rush, but way too much time against any coverage. You're going to have somebody eventually come clean.
12-yard gain. Webb in the backfield. Aside Kyle Postma. In for the injured Greg Ward, the starter. Bonner again. Spun around and brought down at the 17-yard line by Molly. Close to another 1st down. Farrell comes in at fullback now.
They got to get Postma off his mark. They got to get him moving. They're rushing 4 and content to play zone and sit back, but he's picking them apart underneath.
Postma hands it off to Farrell. Got an alley over the left side. Nice little stop and go move, brought down just inside the 10 by Pegues, leaving them about 2 yards short of the 1st down, picked up 8.
It's a great opportunity on 2nd and short. Take a shot in the end zone really quick.
Instead, they hand it off to Mr. Dependable Farrell, who picks up the 1st down, picking up 3, and it's 1st and goal with 6:43 to go. Houston trying to remain perfect on the season. Stay in the driver's seat in the division. Farrell again, hammer time. Stopped up after a gain of 2.
And Houston loves tempo. Major Applewhite loves tempo, but they don't have to be in a huge hurry. And I know they like that, but there's plenty of time in this ball game to be able to score a couple of times.
Memphis player shaken up. That's Ricky Hunter, number 91. Favoring his right leg. 2nd and goal coming up for Houston. Houston and Navy undefeated in the American Conference West Division. Memphis with 1 loss.
It gets double teamed. A little tweak on a knee, looks like an existing issue maybe. Didn't look like there was a whole lot of contact, but thus is the game of football. I always say if you're hurt, you're playing football. That's the way it is. If you're not hurt, you're probably not playing.
Well, this defense was on its heels a little bit with Houston moving the ball down the field well. We'll get a little bit of a breather here as Hunter comes off the field. But Houston's tempo is certainly picking up on this drive and productive as a result.
And they need to do a better job of play calling than they did in the last series when they walked away with 0 points. With 2nd and goal from the 3.
Webb in the backfield here. 3 receiver formation. Bonner to the bottom of your screen. Ayers is the inside receiver to the top of your screen. Number 10. Postma. They tried between the tackles with Webb. And Webb stopped up a yard short of the end zone, and it'll be 3rd down and goal. Obviously, 4-down territory. Postma hands it off. Webb again. Touchdown, Houston. He barely broke the play. And now it's a 1-score game.
And I like the patience of Major Applewhite, the offensive coordinator. He is content to get the hard yards the hard way.
Yeah, he's in.
And know that they're going to be able to punch it in this time. And they did that very successfully. They needed that. They could not possibly have walked away from again without points. And now we got a 1-score game.
Yep. Webb with his 3rd rushing touchdown of the season, the 4th of his career. And special return to Houston for Webb. During Katrina, he left the area. He had actually taken the number 2 spot from the injured Jackson before Jackson was hurt, and there's your starting quarterback, the number 1 cheerleader right now. State at Illinois winning. Notre Dame handling Wake Forest. But boy, what about the year that Iowa and Kirk Ferentz has had? Who would have thought that they would be as successful as they are right now, poised and ready. Just outside the top 4 there. Down to a 1-score game. Oglesby. Tackle to the 23. Let's go to the studio and Chris Cotter. Georgia flavor in that game. Orsius in the backfield takes the handoff and picks up a couple on the play. Nick Thurman makes the stop. 5.5 minutes to go. This is a game where Houston struggled in the first half to move the ball on the ground. Remember that they had negative rushing yardage, minus 13 yards in the first half. Memphis led at one point 20-0 in the second quarter.
And Memphis doesn't have to do anything fancy. They have to be just patient, continue to do what they've done all night, and move the football on the ground. Time and points are on their side right now.
Lynch keeps it. Made a couple of guys miss and falls forward to the 28-yard line. A pivotal 3rd down coming up after that gain of 5.
And you can imagine that Brad Cornelsen is somewhat conservative, the offensive coordinator, because the last 2 possessions, fumble, INT. So he doesn't want to do anything to give them a short field again for the 3rd straight time and a chance to take over the lead of this football game.
This defense has gotten a couple of takeaways here in the second half. Play clock winding down. And they're going to call a timeout here.
Timeout, Memphis. Yeah, second charge timeout.
And we'll take one right along with them. Big play coming up. By Goodyear's Tuesday night from the United Center in Chicago. Your chance to see the top 4 and the rest of the rankings revealed live. Join Reese with the guys 9:30 Eastern between the Champions Classic games. Champions Classic, Kentucky Duke at 7:30, Kansas, Michigan State after that. And in between, college football playoff ranking show. 3rd and 5. Lynch downfield. Incomplete. And the Cougars D going to get off the field. Intended for Phil Mayhew. And that wasn't even close, Brian.
That call makes no sense to me. You're going to throw the ball 40 yards down the field when you needed 5. And obviously a big communication issue between Lynch and his receiver. Not even a chance to convert. Content to punt.
Marcus Ayers back at his own 35. And what a great punt by Spencer Smith. A high spiral back to the 24. And great coverage at the other end by the Tigers. A 47-yard punt. And Kyle Postma with 4 minutes to go. When his night began, folks, he was the backup quarterback who was the former wide receiver. Only the backup quarterback because the regular backup quarterback was injured. And Greg Ward Jr. was hurt late in the 2nd quarter.
He was 4 of 6 for his career for 24 yards prior to this football game.
Yeah, he'd strictly gotten mop-up duty this year, but here he is with a chance to save their perfect season. Kenneth Farrow in at tailback. A couple of years ago, he was a walk-on here. Went to junior college at Trinity Valley, tore it up, came back as a scholarship player now. On 1st and 10, it's Farrow. Got about 2 onto the 25. Houston with 2 timeouts remaining. Plenty of time, but they need a touchdown.
Yeah, plenty of time on the clock. No reason to be in a hurry. Not time to get into a 2-minute offense yet. Still need to try to work Ayers on the perimeter. Bubble screen, get him in space. Possible big play.
On the play clock. A little heat coming from Memphis, and that was almost picked off. A dangerous throw through the hands of Chauncey Lanier. And he's wishing he had another crack at that one. One that got away.
Went with the basic 10-yard out route. Ball looks like it got tipped and redirected.
And yeah, look at Lanier. And look at Lynch. That was ball game. 3rd and 8. Another opportunity for Houston. Ayers split to the bottom of your screen. He's the inside receiver. Postma looks his way and finds him wide open. How do you not have somebody on Ayers?
No one on the slot receiver. And of all people, it's DeMarcus Ayers who's uncovered.
And Ayers holding his leg.
And even though it's a zone defense, you still have to have a linebacker walked out on him. But no one.
And
that looks a little suspect there after the. That's a little WWF action. Man.
And he immediately grabbed his leg.
Look at, man, I don't get that. What are these guys looking at?
And look at the official said, what about that? That's a.
Wow.
They need him on the field right now.
That wasn't even very subtle. Man.
15-yard gain on the play, but maybe more importantly, Ayers is going to go to the sidelines here. It looks like he's going to miss a down. And the coaching staff working the officials there.
Nonetheless, great awareness by Postma, finding Ayers, uncovered, getting the ball downfield and getting the first down.
Out to the 40-yard line, 1st and 10. A little out and up, going up top. Incomplete at the 22. Juggled, but incomplete by John Lede. Missing that by mere inches. Not sure that he had that foot in bounds. Here's another look. Oh. Well, that left foot looked like it might have been in, but did he have it in his hands?
He double clutched it, though. Look at the ball. He double clutches it.
Oh, yeah, he was juggling.
And had he caught it clean, it would have counted, I believe.
The ruling on the field of an incomplete pass is under further review.
Here's one more look. Lede does not appear to have control there, and when he does, that right foot seemed to be out of bounds.
Like the call, though, the out and up, and Millett, number 8, did a really good job of staying with it, even though the ball was underthrown just a little bit. He didn't bite real hard and made it a little more difficult for Kyle Postma to be able to fit that ball in there. But a near miss for Memphis.
Under 3 minutes to go, 2:53. Houston with a couple of timeouts remaining. Well, they're going to look a few times at this one. His foot is down there, but he didn't seem like he had total control of the ball.
Yeah, pretty clear, pretty clean on that one. Ball's on his fingertips, moves to his palms before he establishes that foot in bounds.
And there were 2 officials right there. We've seen strange things happen this year with respect to replay.
Yes, it is always an adventure.
It's never as obvious as you perhaps think it is.
And sometimes on the most obvious ones, it doesn't go that way. So you never know what they're seeing that we don't.
Looks like they've arrived at their decision.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass. Will be 3rd down.
Okay, so let's spin it forward a little bit. 3rd down from the 40-yard line. A couple of timeouts remaining. Down 6 points. The official said 3rd down, but I believe it is 2nd down.
Yeah, they had converted on the throw to Ayers, the injury, and then that was the first play after
Correction.
That.
2nd down.
Okay.
Completion. But they don't need to panic here. Houston does not need to panic. Just continue to stay with what's working. Time is still in their favor to be able to get down the field.
Ayers back on the field, which is good news for the Cougars here late. Looking for the game-tying score. Postma miraculously stays on his feet. Kyle Postma into Memphis territory at the 38. What a run! The understudy has taken control of center stage, picking up 22.
Well, just a really good job of being aware of the pressure, making his way out, staying on his feet. Certainly, the side of the football, we would be talking about the dynamic running ability of a quarterback, but we certainly did not predict it being Kyle Postma.
Well, there's a look at Donald Pennington, the starting nose tackle for the Tigers. A little shaken up.
Ball at the 38. It'll be first down and 10. 2:44 to go. Memphis with the lead. They had a 20-point lead at one point before Houston finally got it together at the end of the first half. Greg Ward, the starting quarterback, knocked out of the game via injury. Kyle Postma came in late in the second quarter and has led the way and been responsible for all 28 points. Trying to remain perfect. Trying to keep pace with Navy for first place in the American West. Potential group of 5. New Year's Six Bowl potentially on the line for the Cougars right here. Postma taking a shot, has a man behind the defender, out of bounds, incomplete. Chance Allen got him behind Lanier temporarily.
Memphis trying to bring a little bit of pressure and man coverage out on the edge. A lot of pushing and shoving on the perimeter there. But Chance Allen unable to come up with it.
It'll be second down and 10. Houston back-to-back weeks in a tight game down the stretch. Tigers coming with some heat. Postma complete over the middle to Ayers. And Ayers enough for the first down. And a late flag. Would have been a little helmet-to-helmet action there.
Postma had the walls falling down all around him on both sides of the pocket, but did a really good job of stepping up, making the throw.
Personal foul, targeting, defensive player, defense, number 39.
Good call.
Defensive players under review.
Good call. Drop that head, crown of the helmet.
Regis Ball. And that he is their emotional leader. There's a look at it. Helmet to helmet contact.
Well, Ayers, a guy that was really kind of not present early in this football game. He was one of our impact players, and it took him a while to where they got him involved in the football game.
And by rule, Ball is out of the ball game. They'll review it and make a further determination. Ayers once again playing a prominent role for Houston. 12 catches tonight, 115 yards. And either way, that's a big play. If Memphis has to do without their emotional leader here for the last 2:24, one of their more experienced players. See if Ball is going to be ejected.
After review, there was no forcible contact above the shoulders, therefore no targeting. Number 39 is not disqualified. There will not be a penalty enforcement. The play did result in a first down.
Well, so Ball stays. Nose of the ball resting at the 26. First and 10. Ayers with another pivotal catch. Farrow in the backfield. Houston trying to stay perfect. Memphis looking to snap a 4-game losing streak against their conference rivals.
Need to again stay patient. No reason to rush. stay involved, run the football, balance it out. Plenty of time left on the clock to score.
Little bubble screen caught by Barner. Mallett makes the tackle immediately, picked up about 4. It'll be 2nd and 6, under 2 minutes to go. Houston with a couple of timeouts remaining. The Tigers with 1. Allen split to the top of your screen. There's the inside receiver to the bottom of your screen. Blitz coming. Postma escapes into the end zone. And incomplete, but a flag thrown. Chris Morley there defending on the play for Memphis. Boy, Postma got away from the pressure. How he did that.
He's been Houdini on a couple of plays tonight, and then to get the ball off and give his receiver a chance.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 17. Automatic first down.
Wow. Huge call. Huge.
That's against Morley. First down on the penalty, and it moves the ball inside the 10-yard line down to the 7.
Last 2 possessions have ended in the same place. The one before ended in downs with no points at all. The last one with a touchdown.
1st and goal with 1:33 to go. Farrow in the backfield already with a couple of touchdowns tonight. 1 on the ground, 1 receiving. Little option here. Postma keeps it. Touchdown Cougars! Tie game!
Gotta love the patience of Major Applewhite, the offensive coordinator. Did it earlier running the football and was content to do it again with the game on the line with his backup quarterback running the option.
The extra point for the win and potentially to stay undefeated on the season. And he drills it through. Houston leads by 1 with 1:27 to go. Coach Herman's team showing big-time life behind Postma. Highlights, reactions from busy day in college football, NBA, and NHL. SportsCenter Night kicks off after the game on ESPN, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. A little over 1.5 to go here, and what an incredible night. What a fantastic comeback by the Cougars. 21 unanswered points here in the 4th quarter. The defense setting the table with a couple of takeaways. That's what they've done all year. Houston with its first lead of the game coming just a moment ago. From the 1-yard line. Oglesby drilled at the 23 as we go back to the studio. All right, Chris, back here. 1st and 10. And quarterback Paxton Lynch trying to lead his team at least into field goal range. Five receivers. Incomplete. Behind his man. Intended for Proctor. Stops the clock with 1:18 to go.
We have to remember this is a football team that in 5 straight ball games has come from behind to win the game. Obviously Obviously, circumstances a little different.
Blitz coming. Lynch coolly, calmly, with poise out to the 33, and it's a first down for the Tigers on the 11-yard gain. Houston with a couple of timeouts remaining. Memphis with one. And we got a flag, a little movement by Fallen on the left side of that offensive line for the Tigers. The officials are going to talk this one over, though.
False start. Offense. Number 77. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I never seen that defensive line influence the call. They were begging for it. And they got it.
Moves it back to the 29. Remember, Anthony Miller, one of their top receivers, absent here in the second half because of a hamstring injury. Who does Lynch go to? Down the seam. That's who he goes to, complete at the 48 to Roderick Proctor. And into Houston territory, inching closer towards field goal range for Jake Elliott.
Did a great job of turning the shoulders of safety McDonald, number 16.
Pass complete at the 45. And that's Mayhew fighting for extra yards, picking up the first down and stopping the clock. And really just a couple yards from field goal range.
Couple of nice throws, patient, the post route prior to that one to give them the big chunk yardage to put them in field goal position with a couple of nice plays here down in the red zone. We're getting close to it.
You see Elliott right there on the sidelines. He has the conference record, 56 yards on a field goal. Very strong leg. 4 seconds on the play clock. They get it off. Little bubble screen. Close to the 30.
Got to get out of bounds. Got to get out of bounds. Have to be aware of the circumstances.
Mayhew made the catch. Back up at the line of scrimmage, going quick. 35 seconds to go. Overthrows his receiver. A little mix-up perhaps, but it stops the clock with 31 ticks to go. On the fringes of field goal range for Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott, who is 7 of 11 from 50 plus.
And it's
plenty of leg.
It seems like Houston is content to just sit back in zone and play that zone and let them go underneath and take what they can get. Not that risky defense that we saw them do earlier in this year. They're sitting back being patient.
3rd and 6. Little pressure coming. Can't take a sack here. And he wisely throws it away under duress. So 4th down coming up. And Lynch holding that left knee, getting up slowly. Jake Elliott, who made a couple of big field goals last week, albeit in that loss. 2nd on the school list in field goals. Let's take a look at what happened to Paxton Lynch.
Ooh, ankle. That left ankle. Off the turf.
DeJuan Hines with the stop. This would be from 48 yards side. He's 13 of 19 from this distance. For the win. Pushed it right. And Houston escapes. A furious, frenzied second half comeback by the Cougars. And now 19 seconds away from remaining perfect. One more look at that miss by Elliott. He had been money from this distance, but not this time.
A lot of pressure on that kick, but you've got to admire the resiliency of this Houston Cougar football team. Tom Herman in his first year here, and they've already bought into the philosophy And they've done a really great job of staying with it.
Kyle Postma, folks, who could walk around campus for the last couple of weeks almost anonymously. That won't be the case on Sunday and moving forward from this moment, as Paxton Lynch's team loses for just the second time in the last 17 games. But Kyle Postma, who became the quarterback late in the second quarter and put 35 points on the board, leads his team to the win. They're 9-0. Coming up next at SportsCenter. What a night here from Houston. We'll be back with more from Houston, but right now, we're going to send it to SportsCenter. For Brian Kitchen and Quinn Kessenich, I'm Mark Jones. We'll go to SportsCenter.